This is Adam King from Aliens Don't Ring Doorbells, and you're listening to Madness to Creation.
Go ahead, say it.
Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? And in this episode, we have Theo and Raphael from the amazing Brazilian rock band Ego Kill Talent. And recently, Ego Kill Talent released their album entitled The Dance Between Extremes. But before I get into what you're going to be hearing in the podcast, I must send a personal thank you to The Nomadic. The Nomadic has provided us a theme song for Beyond Blue. And I will provide a link in the description of where you can check out that song via Spotify, and please add it to your playlist. And it was absolutely so gracious of the Nomadic to donate that song to the Madness to Creation podcast. And Ego Kill Talent basically talks about how they've been coping with the COVID-19 pandemic in Brazil and how they adjusted into writing their album, The Dance Between Extremes, which was due out March 19th, 2021 via BMG. The Dance Between Extremes includes the single Deliverance, and Ego Kill Talent was supposed to have a huge tour of South America, open up for some band called Metallica and some band called Greta Van Fleet. And they were also supposed to perform at the majority of the Danny Wimmer Presents festivals in the US, and also had a tour providing support for System of a Down in Europe. But COVID changed those plans, and they basically indicated that there's still some irons in the fire that need to be worked out in terms of this, and they've had to adjust their plans. And I want you to subscribe to the band's YouTube channel in order to check out Ego Kill Talent live from the flat screen performances. And the band's virtual tour is being promoted in various territories, including the United States, Germany, Spain, Chile, and Brazil. And this was just a wonderful conversation with Theo and Raphael, and just talking about their drumming techniques, their guitar techniques, and everything like that. And I will provide a link in the description at madnesstocreation.com. Wow! To check out The Dance Between Extremes. And look for a podcast interview coming up. The next episode will feature the Silk War. And find the Madness to Creation podcast on your favorite digital streaming platform, whether that's Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, Geo7, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, or Google Podcasts. And you can also find it at madnesstocreation.com. And without further delay, here's our conversation with Theo and Raphael of Ego Kill Talent. Take it away, Theo and Raphael. All right, welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? We are fortunate to have guests Theo and Raphael from Ego Kill Talent out of Brazil to talk mental health and music with us. So, hey, Raphael and Theo, how are you guys doing today?
Very good. What about you? I'm fine.
Doing pretty well. Just kind of a question I have for you guys. How are you guys surviving the pandemic and everything like that down in Brazil?
Yeah, man, it's been quite hard. We've been basically at home for 1 year now, literally almost never getting out of the house.
Writing a lot of music.
Yeah, playing alone, playing together sometimes. A couple of times we tested for COVID, and then the band got together to play. But yeah, it's been, we are kind of tired of it.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was yesterday or the day before, it was like the actual 1 year anniversary of COVID. And did you guys have to structure your songs differently or anything like that? Or did you have to adjust the game plan? Or did you guys just practice your social distancing, stuff like that?
Well, we did have to replan the album release. We were supposed to release the album I think it was May 2020. because actually we had a world tour booked for 2020. We would play with Metallica and Greta from Fleet, System of a Down. We had a huge tour booked, and then we were going to release the full album during the tour. Mm-hmm. But because of COVID, obviously every single tour in the world got postponed, and so we just needed to like replan the album release, and we end up slicing the album in 3 EPs. And the full album, like the 3 EPs together, makes the full album, and the full album it's coming out now this week. So yeah, we definitely needed to replan all the plans. But as far as playing, the times we played together, actually we tested for COVID, and then we filmed a bunch of live sets at our studio that we end up releasing on YouTube, and we call it the digital tour, live on a flat screen. And yeah, gotta adapt.
Yeah, and that's an absolutely critical thing about adapting. So speaking of like the COVID pandemic and stuff like that, naturally we're going to get into your album in just a little bit. What is like the number one thing, this question for both of you, what is the number one thing that you learned about yourself that you didn't realize about yourself? And how did you grow as a person through the COVID pandemic?
That's a tough one. I think I learned how to be a little more patient than I ever was, and just learned how to be on my own a lot better than I used to. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I think for me it's basically that.
I think for me it's very similar. I mean, I think I reinforced something that I already kind of knew, but it's hard to practice, which is not letting your peace of mind depend in the outside conditions, you know,
Sure.
And instead of it, finding your inner peace on your own, you know, on like, I think it is in who you truly are that never changes, regardless of what's happening outside. What you really are never changes. You are like the witness of what happens to you. You are not what happens to you. So I think like resting in this place of awareness, I practice that much more during the pandemic.
And I also think the lack of company makes you value your companies a lot more. So I miss my friends a lot more than I ever did. So yeah, I can't wait for it to be over and I can hug my friends again, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And that's probably the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is just seeing people again. With myself having asthma, I feel like I have to be more careful than people who don't have like an autoimmune disorder. You have asthma too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing about like when fellow asthmatics meet each other, we get a whole conversation about the type of medicines that we use and all that stuff. But so what gives you inner peace? I know it was one of you two that brought up inner peace. What gives you both inner peace in your life?
Well, for me, I like the real one, the real deal, because you can find some peace and happiness. Let's say happiness. You can find some happiness in things you do in the world, you know, like playing music and touring, and I think you can find happiness in that. But in my experience, inner peace only comes from inside, not from what you're doing. But I think it's more a realization that you already are in peace. If you manage, and for me, meditation really made it for me. Meditation, like daily meditation, really helped me. And the kind of meditation that I practice is basically resting in the silence that I am, you know, resting on that feeling of being aware, that feeling of being here. And I think like true inner peace comes from that, because when you are in that place, and you are always there, by the way, if you remember any time in your life, you always were the presence of your life. You always were the witness of what happens to you. But the thing is, we get confused with what happens, and we start like wanting things to happen. But who is wanting? The wanter, it's always the same. You know, the perceiver, it's always the same. But we forget that, and we keep like chasing things outside. So I think that the practice of meditation and inner silence and just being present, it's kind of a remembering that always is fine. It's always in peace. But we get confused with the noise out there. So I think it's sitting in silence. And it's hard because your mind starts to get busy and convince you that you got so much to do.
Yeah, it's almost like sometimes your mind works against you, isn't it?
Yeah.
How about for you, Raphael?
For me, I know it sounds a little bit of a cliche, but it's playing music. I come here every day in the morning, and I stay here the entire day, just playing drums or writing some music, recording some stuff. I have a bunch of demos I did here, and I think this is what gives me inner peace. I miss it when I don't come here. I miss it so much. So yeah, to me, it's just playing music.
Definitely. And speaking of playing music, when you guys wrote The Dance Between Extremes, what do you guys feel you bring to Ego Kill Talent to the table?
You mean like what we meant when we wrote the album?
Right. Like, what is your strength?
Yeah. Well, I think that. Well, first of all, we are always writing music, so it's not like, I mean, we've been writing this album since the last one.
Yeah.
When we were on tour, like if a new song would arise as an inspiration, then we would just like make it, and working on it. I think it's every time we are writing music, we are very sincere. It comes from a very genuine place. So I think it's about putting out there what is true to us, so it can be like when we're talking music and not lyrics, it's like the harmony that makes us emotional, it's like the groove that makes us feel like, oh yeah, that's it, so it got to be true. And then the lyrics is the same process. I mean, we got to say something that sounds true to us and that we feel like it's real,
Oh, definitely. And how about for you, Raphael?
It's the same, man. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
How passionate we are about doing this, about being together. And I think all of that makes the band what it is, and makes the album sound the way it sounds. And also the first one.
Yeah,
right?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel you guys have grown from the first album to The Dance Between Extremes? What are like some things that you have noticed?
Well, when people ask me like how to compare the two albums, I always say that I feel like first there is a big characteristic in the band, in Ego Kill Talent, which is we love heavy music, but we also love pop music, right? We really we love heavy bands like Sepultura, Gojira, even Slayer, Metallica, but we also truly love the more pop rock artists such as Phil Collins, Lenny Kravitz, and many more, and in between to Queen, Led Zeppelin. So I think that we kind of Ego Kill Talent kind of we try to mix in one song like the heaviness of aggressive music and heavy music, and at the same time harmonies and melodies of more the pop world, if you want to call it that. So in the first album, I think we already had those two worlds together, and in this album I think we have even more. I think we went further. We have songs that are more aggressive and heavier, but we also have songs that are even more, if you want to call it pop, I don't know, but it's more of both.
Yeah. And I think on this album, on the second one, we kind of found ourselves as a collaborating band. I think it's more fluid. We wrote a lot more songs. We have a bunch of songs almost done that were not recorded yet, but they're there. Maybe for a next album. So I think it's a lot more fluid.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing I absolutely notice about like your singles like Now and Deliverance. Deliverance was released on January 28th. And just take us into that video and the song, and what kind of message were you trying to convey in the song?
Well, I think that I think it's really about accepting yourself and accepting your path. You know, I mean, people will connect to the song in different ways, and we are happy with that. You know, I think that that's the beauty of art. It's like if it helps you to reach a place inside of you that is completely different than what we thought when we wrote, that's great, because you are reaching yourself, right? So, but I feel like for me, it's about accepting your path, accepting the choices you made in your life. And sometimes they aren't the best, because there's no one in the world that always make the right choices only. We always make bad choices sometimes. But once you embrace it and you accept it and you love yourself, even for your bad choices, you know, it doesn't mean that you would do the same choices again, but you accept that you did, because you had to learn from them. So it's about accepting where you are and loving yourself where you are.
Absolutely. And I want you guys to brag about yourself real quick. What is one thing you're like, oh shit, I'm really good at this?
It's got to be related to music or
music, personality, anything.
Well, I think that I'm really good in having a band, because I think we have a great band. I think we managed to have a good relationship among the five of us, and that's a constant work. It's always in development, but I think we managed to have a good dynamic, and I think we are doing a good job. I'm happy with what we are doing.
Yeah, and I won't say drumming, because I've been doing this for, I don't know, 30 years, and it's a little obvious. But I would say I'm getting very good at smoking pipes. That's a new hobby of mine. I got it from my dad. He gave me 2 of his pipes, and I'm getting deep into it, and I'm loving it. So I'm a good pipe smoker.
Sounds good. And that was, I'll be honest with you, that was one of the last responses I expected from there. So that makes it very unique. So, do you guys, when the pandemic's over, are you guys going to link back up with Metallica and System of a Down, or what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, well, we're definitely rescheduling most of the shows, including the festivals. It's looking like we are playing with Metallica and Greta Van Fleet. And I'm saying that because we already had a couple of times the promoter coming to us and asking for possible dates to rebook the tour. And so it's looking like it's going to be rebooked for 2022. And System of a Down, I'm not sure they are touring next year. If they are, I'm pretty sure we would be in that tour. But we're definitely doing more shows. We've been talking with other big bands that I can't say the name yet because it's not confirmed. But we're probably going to support other big names in Europe. And we're also playing some festivals in the US.
Yeah, have you guys played in Europe or the United States yet?
We did play in Europe a couple of times, but never in the US.
Never.
We were only in the US to record the album.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't very sure about that part. So if you ever played in the US, if you ever have a show in Iowa, Minnesota, I would love to buy a ticket and come out and see you guys.
Awesome. That will happen for
We'll
sure.
send you a ticket.
Yeah. We are playing there. We are playing the US for sure in 2020.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And just kind of a couple questions to close it out. Long story short, I'm working on a book that's slated for release in 2023. And it's called Lighthouses in the Darkest Distance. And I won't get into the whole specifics of it because I'll be honest with you, it's still a lot of stuff to go through as related to you guys make an album. But what is the soundtrack to your life? Like when times get difficult, what band, song, genre, or artist do you turn to?
Well, first of all, I like the name of your book. I think it's a good name.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Came to me in a dream.
It's a good one. There's an artist that I really like that inspires me and calms me down at the same time, and it's Ben Howard. I think he's from the UK. I also like Bon Iver. I think those two, and they're not heavy at all, but I just like it.
And to me, I have to say Metallica, because they have made a huge role in my life. I'm a musician because of them, and I'm still a massive fan since I was 9 years old. And they're to me, they're like a never-ending source of inspiration in terms of music, in terms of career. So they're the ones I look up to the most, and I have to pick them.
All three of those choices are actually very good choices, because I'm like you guys. I could go from one extreme to the other, and hence the album title, The Dance Between Extremes. So we've covered a lot of ground here, and I'm just gonna give you the floor to say whatever you guys want to say about the album, about Ego Kill Talent.
I was just gonna say, please listen to the album.
Listen to the album.
Yeah, hope you like it. It's very sincere. It came from a very true place inside of us, and we are very proud of it.
Definitely. And I'm going to tell my listeners that is just an awesome album to listen to. And I want to thank Ego Kill Talent so much for joining the Madness to Creation podcast for Self-Care and Music Merge. And thanks again, guys. And this was so much fun. And let's set up something in the future.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully we'll meet you in person soon.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome. And this was a lot of fun, guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.